I wouldn't be where I am in life without certain people who have crossed my path. Those who have taught me, guided me, pushed me, and those who have given me a shot. We are very moldable at an early age, and I'm thankful that I've been surrounded by incredible people who took the time to teach me things I carry to this day. Most of the time in life, what is worth doing isn't easy, and we need certain people around us to become the best that we can be. I cannot thoroughly explain who we are at K. Johnson Construction, our culture, our core values, our trajectory, without starting at the beginning. My name is Keegan Johnson, and this is our story.
And after I found out that he had done that, I'm like, dude, you're fucking nuts.
We manage personalities and we turn that into buildings.
Our goal is to be the best. Not the biggest, but the best. The only way to build a solid foundation is brick by brick. I was born in Newton, Iowa, really good community. It was a place that I wouldn't change growing up there for anything. So Newton had Maytag as the big company in town, and the good side to that is everybody had well-paying jobs, whether they were working in the factory or the headquarters or an engineer. And when it packed up and moved away, so did a lot of the people. It definitely put more stress overall on the community. Naturally, there's a slow decline in the economy. My dad got laid off when I was in 6th grade. He came and picked me up from school, told me what happened, and as a kid in 6th grade, you're really worried because your dad's had this job his entire life. It's like anything else. You learn to persevere. The people there figure it out. And so from that, we lost some people, but also it brought, I think, everybody closer together that was still in the town. At that time, a 12 to 15-year-old kid, because that's really when the shift happened, we would always go up and stay with Grandpa and Grandma for at least a week or two in the summer. And that's when really the good memories were created, because your parents were gone, so it was Grandpa and Grandma get to decide the rules, and you always get away with a little bit more when you're at Grandpa and Grandma's house. The most monumental person in my life was my grandpa. My grandpa was from a small town in northwest Iowa. He was from Ocheyedan. He expected you to do the right thing when nobody was looking. He liked to hunt. He was the first one to take me pheasant hunting. He was the first one to take me ice fishing. We'd go out on the Okoboji and fish for perch. His other big thing was horses. He always grew up riding horses. It's something it's almost synonymous with his name, always taking care of horses. He was a man of few words in serious moments, but his ability to lighten a mood in a stiff room was one of his best qualities. I think it's balancing between being able to lighten the mood and being able to relate to people, but then being able to flip the switch and have the serious side and say, all right, here's the tough conversation that needs to happen, and not stray away from those. I think it's the combination of the two that I picked up on. Maybe I had a knack for it, but it's definitely something I took notice of. And I thought that the memories that I created there that were standard memories for any kid growing up, and they weren't. Another person that was really influential in my high school years of growing up was my varsity football coach, Ed Ergenbright. My friends were a lot more into sports than I was, and so being around my group of friends and being around the football team gave me a purpose, it gave me a direction, it gave me something to work towards, and so I got better at it.
There's an interception.
Interception by number 81.
My name's Ed Ergenbright, and I was the head football coach at Newton High School from 2003 to 2019. but I also coached, my position was to coach our secondary, our defensive backs. And the free safety position that Keegan played is like the quarterback of the secondary or of the defense. And just not anybody could do it. I taught him how to identify formations, and it just clicked for him. He's one of my top 2 all-time free safeties in the 35 years I've coached football, easy. There were times during that junior year where he would make an adjustment on the field, and when I watched the film, I'm like, geez, we adjusted to that perfectly. And he would do that stuff on his own. I'd only had 1 or 2 players in all those years that were able to do that kind of thing. And so I knew really early on his junior year that he was pretty special. I mean, he was accountable to his coaches, his teammates. You could count on Keegan to do the right thing. You could count on him to be there, know what he was doing, know what everybody else in the secondary was doing. He just was like a rock. But I knew Keegan wanted to be an engineer. I knew he was a very, very good student. You know, I think I told him, look, if you want me to try to help you, go on and play. All the recruiters call, and if you want to talk to him, you sit down and talk to him. You know, I'll give him your contact. If you've decided you want to go to Iowa State to engineering school, be the best damn engineer you can be, and I'm happy.
And so by the time I was a senior, I knew that long term, I wanted to be more than a football player. And I knew that my skill set was a bigger umbrella than just a football player. Having a professional career was always, owning a business was always something on my to-do list. And so I knew if I was ever gonna start tackling those, football was always gonna be a piece of the puzzle, but not the whole puzzle. Another influential person in my life was Pat O'Neill.
Is anybody else sweating their ass off up here, or is it just me?
I had met Pat when he came to work at the company that I was previously working for. He came in, bald, tattoo arms, looked like a tough SOB.
I knew who Keegan was before I ever met Keegan. And before I met Keegan, I was up in the office and introduced to several people in the office, and I seen a tall, skinny guy working on his desk or something over there, and I was like, I know him, and that must be Keegan. That can't be Keegan. He looks like he's 12.
And then he smiled. And then you knew once he smiled that he had this little bit softer edge to him, stuck his hand out, said, hey, how you doing? Pat O'Neill, nice to meet you.
So Keegan and I got assigned to the same project together, Harbach Lofts. Keegan was a project manager, I was a superintendent, and Kyle was the lead foreman. And the chemistry between the three of us, I think, is what really made the great team.
I knew what I was doing, but I had no idea what I was doing to the caliber of what he was capable of.
So I'm responsible for scheduling, estimating, owner communication, resolving any field issues that we have. Pat is running the 100 guys that we've got in the field between these 2 5-story buildings of multiple stages of construction, identifying the issues, gathering the facts, and then us collaborating together to figure out, okay, what's our best path forward?
Pat kind of took me under his wing of like, hey, follow me a little more. I'll show you some stuff. If you have any questions, anything, I'm here. Like, I'm your eyes and ears, anything you need. So I tried taking advantage of that as much as possible.
And so we start going through this project, and it's my biggest project to date. It's $18 million. I'm 26 years old, and not everything goes great. It's a historical renovation. We're putting up masonry shafts through an existing building. The framer is having a hard time framing walls when we're laying block.
We were full bore. We were probably running about 70% of all trades, and it just stopped for 6 months. When you have a job going full bore, and then you just stop it one day, and then 6 months later you start it back up, that's difficult.
We didn't quit. There was nights we worked till 10 o'clock there. We'd be back there at 5:30 in the morning because that's what it took to get done.
And so we kind of just grinded it out. And you know, the best times that I had with Pat were at 6:30 in the office trailer when everybody's left for the day and we're trying to figure out issues or going through a schedule of how do we get all these things done in sequence. And our steel guy's 12 weeks behind right now. We only have 6 weeks to finish the job. And how to navigate that from a personnel, subcontractor, owner perspective, and do it with a pride and do it with integrity is something I learned from Pat. That is it's a talent.
With proper planning and the right people, we finished that project on time, on budget. His attitude towards work, towards the people that he works with, towards his team, it was a cut above the rest.
And at that time, it was time to kind of kick off KJC. I found an opportunity in the market, and yeah, we started K Johnson Construction September of 2018. Our goal is to be the best, not the biggest, but the best. That means that we are doing a lot of work at a high efficiency, but checking all the boxes along the way. We need to have high functioning individuals, people that fall in love with work, that have a passion for work, that enjoy the people they work with, and be able to do the best that we can. I think doing that day in, day out, year after year will build what I'll be proud of at the end, what my team has created at the end. So when we started, we were a little bit different than most general contractors or construction managers because we had the field side, we had the office side, I was the project management / business development side. And so we had a little bit more of a foundation than maybe more of a typical startup. With the startup, we were doing everything ground up. We started in my basement at home, so Lane would come to work every morning, and that was setting up contracts, that was doing marketing, that was literally anything and everything that has to be done when setting up a company and want to be a professional about it. She'd be there doing that. Kyle was on site working in the field. He was doing a little bit of managing, but at that time it was straight hands-on, do whatever we can do, work from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. and rinse and repeat for about 8 weeks.
I would work till 3, he'd show up at 3:30, and then we'd go till 11 at night just to get that first job done to make a good impression on that client.
Now we've been able to add more infrastructure. People have expanded their skill sets, and now we have more, I would say, standard roles and responsibilities within the industry versus when we started, and having that infrastructure and that structure overall is benefit us to execute at a higher efficiency.
Construction's never perfect, but if you have people in your court that are gonna fight for you and truly try to bring the best product forward, it's just something that he embodies every day and encourages myself and Kyle and our team to really exude on our projects.
I feel like everybody's here for the same cause, you know?
I love that we're a small, almost family-style general contractor in Des Moines. We hustle, we stand by what we say. We are always going to support one another, whether it's the good, the bad, the ugly. Doesn't matter that day. What matters is that if I need a hand, I know I can get it.
Being a smaller company, I didn't know if we would get to see the diverse types of projects that we have in such a short, amount of time, but it's really neat to say that we've completed anything from warehouses to really detailed, specific styles of restaurants, office renovations, anything from new construction to going into an existing space and doing a tenant build out.
What sets us apart from other GCs is I think you get a standard level of service for whatever general contractor in whatever professional industry that you're in. 90 to 95% of the project is going to be the same, and every general contractor is going to handle it in the same way. Yes, it helps that we're personable. Yes, it helps that we are customer service, but it's really when times are tough and there's tough decisions, whether it's budget, whether it's design, whether it's issues that just come up in construction, whether it's a renovation or a warehouse, that how you handle and navigate those situations and maintain integrity but still remain transparent but still get the job done and outline the expectations for everybody, that sets us apart. And I think that we blend in our roles and responsibilities to make that come full circle and be able to really produce a good product at a high level that we can stand behind at the end of the day. Never mind the process from A to B was a direct path and we didn't zigzag in between.
I think we pride ourselves in wearing multiple hats, so a lot of days that's a project manager role, some days that's I gotta install some doors, put some millwork in, and maybe that's putting on my superintendent hat for a day or two. And that's something I really enjoy. I think it's so easy to get lost in an individual role. When you get to touch every piece of construction, I just think it makes you a better builder and a more well-rounded manager.
I think the biggest thing that caught me off guard when starting a company is the way that our decisions and our efforts were able to impact our employees' lives. Seeing their skill set grow to know that we're making better individuals that are more capable, that are stepping outside of their box, that we're being able to push them. And at the end of the day, if construction's not their passion, that we've teed them up to be passionate and be able to execute on that passion, whatever that it happens to be. I don't ever want somebody to work for us that doesn't enjoy coming to work every day. I want people to want to be there, and I want to set them up for success and a growth plan. And that was the biggest thing that really caught me off guard, or I didn't think it would be as personally rewarding as it was when you can see it come to fruition. We are K. Johnson Construction, and our story is just beginning.